आज स्वागत नित्य गुरुवर संत शुभागम आइए। अध्यात्म दिव्य ज्योति सोमरस बरसाइए। दोष दुर्गुण दूर करिके शुद्ध हंस बनाइए। भेद गम गति ज्ञान गर्जन शक्ति द्वार हटाइए। खुले द्वारा सप्त सागर भक्त जन अनवाइए। जन सदा फल विश्व शिक्षक शान आन बचाइए। आज स्वागत नित्य संत शुभागम आइए। बोले सद्गुरुदेव भगवान की जय। बैक टू योगेश जी।
Thank you very much, Isha ji. So, before starting on a specific chapter, if anybody has any question they want to discuss, we can discuss on those questions. If not, then today I was thinking to take next chapter. Last time we discussed about the second mandal 7th chapter. Today we can go over second mandal 8th chapter and discuss some of the dohas.
Yogesh ji, Jai Sadgurudev, I have a small question.
Jai Sadgurudev Naveen ji.
I wanted to ask you about how to read the Pancham Mandal. Pancham Mandal looks like to be an explanation of Atharvaved.
So,
and it's a little complicated in terms of understanding. So, is there a particular way that it should be read differently than the rest of the Swarved, or it should be pretty much read in continuation of how the way Swarved has been written for other mandals?
Yeah, so in Pancham Mandal, 3rd chapter, Tritiya Adhyay, is very specific about Atharvaved, where Swamiji has answered all the questions those were asked in Atharvaved Kand 10 Sukt 7. So that particular chapter, chapter number 3, talks about the nature of Supreme Soul, how it looks, how it experiences. So those all questions have been asked in Atharvaved, and those questions are not answered anywhere else. We just find those answers in Swarved. Yeah, it is a bit different than other chapters across the Swarved, but at least from my understanding, there is no any specific way to understand it. Maybe you can discuss on those dohas, what Swamiji has explained. But I haven't heard that is there any specific way to understand more particularly from that particular chapter.
Is it the verbatim of Atharvaved, or Swamiji has written dohas which explain the dohas or of Atharvaved?
So Swamiji has, now I have not read Atharva Ved, or particularly this section of Atharva Ved where the questions have been asked by the whoever Rishi wrote that one about Supreme Soul. But to those questions, Swamiji has answered here. So questions are in Atharvaved, and the answers of those questions are in Swarved. So basically, Swamiji has explained whatever questions have been asked there, as per my understanding. And Raji is here, so maybe if he has any more uh, in depth on this one, he can throw some light. Raji, do you have any thoughts on that one? Raji, you are on mute if you are talking. Okay, I guess he's not next to the phone. But yeah, so far whenever I have read this particular chapter, chapter number 3 in fifth mandal, I just go over that chapter and try to read those dohas one by one. But Vijayji may have more understanding or more uh, options or more ways how you can, learn more about the dohas and their meanings from this chapter.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else has anything? All right. So in chapter 8, Swamiji has touched upon different states of soul and different stages of soul. So we all heard about 6 stages of soul, that is Sthul, Sukshma, Keval, Karan, Mahakaran, Kaivalya, and Hans. So those are 6 stages. There are also 6 steps or states of soul which Swamiji has mentioned here, which is Sthul, Sukshma, or Jagrit,
Gee, I
Swapna.
have a question. Is it
Yeah,
6 bodies or 6 souls?
no, 6 states of soul. So
Oh, those are souls? Okay.
yeah, so for example, when Jagrit Avastha, or when we are awake, the soul experience the outside world. So that is, soul is in state of experiencing the physical world. It experience through your physical body, your physical organs, but it is the state where the soul experience that one. In Hindi, Swamiji has mentioned it as a Atma ki chhe avasthaएं. So it is because everything is experienced by soul. So those are the states which soul go through based on what is your physical state. If you are awake, then soul experience outside world through your physical organs. When you are in dream, then soul through the mind, soul experience the what is happening between the mind and the sanskaras that is arising from your chitta. And then there is a deep sleep where soul come under the strong coverage or wrapper of ignorance, or the what we can call a the tamogun, basically, which covers the knowledge of the soul. So those three we often experience every day in everyone's life. We experience that one. And then their next three stages, the states of the soul are beyond our common man's daily experiences. So Swamiji has talked about that one. We will go over those dohas. And then Swamiji has talked about the six stages, how soul, gradually move from the gross state to the complete conscious state, that is a Hansavastha. So we can go over those, but before that there is one doha which is I think important to understand, and that is doha. I have no access to the Swarved PDF to share with you guys here on the screen. So if you have Swarved and you can refer that one, that will be useful. Those whoever have Swarved. But if you don't have Swarved, then no problem. I will read over. So in Dvitiya Mandal Ashtam Adhyay, Doha number 4, Swamiji says, Parabrahma उपलब्धि है, जीते जीव समाधि, मरण बाद फिर जन्म है, यह जग रोग असाधि. सहज योग समाधि द्वारा इसी शरीर से जीवन मुक्ति अर्थात परब्रह्म की प्राप्ति होती है. मरने के बाद जन्म होता है. यह जन्म मरण रूपी असाध्य रोग की निवृत्ति प्रभु द्वारा जीवन मुक्ति होने पर होती है. जीते जी मुक्ति होती है, मरने के बाद नहीं. So this doha, why it becomes important is because many people in spiritual world assume or under a wrong assumption that or incorrect knowledge that the salvation happens after death. And that's why it is very important to understand that it does not happen after death, but salvation or the liberation happen when the soul is in human body. Because when the soul escape the body through any of those 9 doors in our body, that is called death. And when death happens, then soul look for the next body, look for the next birth. It has to go through the birth and death cycle. That is not called salvation. Salvation happens when the soul is in the body, human body. And therefore, Swamiji explicitly through this doha tell people that if someone want to achieve the salvation, he has to perform the Vihangam Yoga meditation, through which while the soul is in this human body, he will experience the supreme soul. He will experience the liberation. He will have complete control over how he can, when the time comes to escape the body, then soul will come out of the 10th door all by itself. In common man, when the death occurs, what happens is common man don't have any control. So the soul forcefully was or the forcefully being pulled out of body through one of the 9 doors. When Jivan Mukti or the salvation or liberation happens, then that Jivan Mukta yogi himself control how he is going to go out of the body. So that is the difference, and that's why Swamiji says Janma Marana Rupi Asadhya Rog. So if death occurs, that is Swamiji is calling this birth and death cycle as the disease, and such a disease which cannot be cured. And if somebody is thinking or showing off. There are gurus who claim they are liberated, but when the time comes, their soul also escape without their control. So that's why Swamiji says, if you are thinking that you will get salvation after death, that is completely wrong, because after death the birth happens and not the salvation. Very next doha, Swamiji continues saying, talking on the same thing. योगी सहज समाधि में जीवन मुक्ति पद पाए, मरण मुक्ति आशा नहीं, मरण कर्म दुखदाय। योगी सहज समाधि द्वारा जीवन मुक्ति अवस्था को प्राप्त करता है। मरने के पश्चात मुक्ति की आशा व्यर्थ है। मृत्यु पश्चात कर्मानुसार जन्म होता है, मुक्ति नहीं। So these two dohas very clearly explain when this liberation really happened, and if someone is thinking otherwise, that is completely wrong. Now Swamiji is also talking here about Sahaj Yog Samadhi. So Samadhi is of two types. One is Sahaj Samadhi and other is Akhanda Samadhi. So Akhanda Samadhi is something where a yogi sit at one place and perform like few days, weeks or months anushtan. That is called Akhanda Samadhi, where the soul remain in constant connection with Supreme Soul by sitting at one place, not doing anything else, but just what Swamiji calls, just by doing bhajan. So that is called Akhanda Samadhi. Other Samadhi is Sahaj Samadhi. Sahaj Samadhi is something that a Jivan Mukta Yogi, the liberated soul, he perform all the regular activities, the daily chores, yet his consciousness is continuously being in connection with the Supreme Soul. And therefore, even though he is performing karmas, even though he is doing his daily chores, he is disconnected, or he is not attached to those karmas, and therefore those karmas are not bear any fruits for the Jivan Mukta Yogi, because his consciousness is beyond the Prakriti. So these two types of Samadhi are there, Sahaj Yoga Samadhi and the Akhanda Samadhi. So far, any question on these two doha?
No, Ji, well explained.
All right. Now, if we move further, there is one interesting information Swamiji has shared in this chapter, Doha Kramank 16. अनुमान उपमान है अवर शब्द परमान, वन प्रत्यक्ष क्रम सृष्टि का 5 परीक्षा ज्ञान. So some of these we might be aware. Now we always use some of these tests to get the physical knowledge of the things. But here Swamiji give in-depth information how soul get the experience, or how human being experience the knowledge in this Prakriti and beyond. So there are 5 types of test basically that Swamiji explained. One is Pratyaksha, other is Anuman, third is Upaman, fourth is Shabd, and fifth is Srishtikram. Now I may not have the right English words for this one, but I will try to explain what does that they really mean. So I will just quickly go over the description what Acharya Shri Pratham has given, and then we can I will explain further in English. प्रत्यक्ष, अनुमान, उपमान, शब्द और सृष्टि क्रम, ये 5 परीक्षाएं होती है. इनके द्वारा सर्व पदार्थों की परीक्षा करके बोध प्राप्त करना चाहिए. ज्ञानेंद्रियों द्वारा जो भ्रम रहित ज्ञान प्राप्त होता है उसको प्रत्यक्ष कहते हैं. So what is pratyaksha? Pratyaksha means what you experience through your physical organs, through your sensory organs and through your physical organs. So for example, you are looking at a car that is coming from the other side. So there you are using your physical organs to experience, to get the knowledge of that object and send it to the soul. So there it is very clear. You have pratyaksha gyan, means you see it, you experience it, you feel it through your physical organs. So that's why it is called pratyaksha. So it appears in front of you, and that's why it is called pratyaksha gyan. So this is one taste. So this will give you the clear understanding what what that particular object or person or whatever thing you are looking at is. Other one is, now you don't see a particular thing, but you just guess about it. So Swamiji says, प्रत्यक्ष साधन द्वारा अप्रत्यक्ष पदार्थ की जो सिद्धि की जाती है उसको अनुमान कहते हैं. जैसे धूम्र से अग्नि का, कार्य से कारण का, गुण से गुणी का, पुत्र से पिता का अनुमान होता है. So for example, if you are seeing a smoke from a distance, then you are guessing, you are making conclusion that, oh, there is a smoke, that means there is fire going on, right? So, or when you see, Swamiji gave an example about a child and his father. So when you look at child, if you know his father well, and when you see some behavior of the child, you make a guess, yeah, he do the same thing like his father. So this is kind of a test, or this is kind of a way to get the knowledge where, based on your previous experiences, you look at the things and then make the conclusion. There the thing is not in front of you, it is not pratyaksha. Your physical organs do not see those things, but based on your previous knowledge and the action going on, karya ka karan se. So there is some activity going on, there is some action happening, and based on that action, that activity, you are making conclusion that this must be the reason. So when you see the smoke, then you conclude there should be fire. So that is called anuman. Third one is सादृश्य तुल्य वस्तु की उपमा देकर किसी पदार्थ की सिद्धि की जाती है, उसको उपमान कहते हैं. जैसे सूर्य के समान प्रकाश या चंद्रमा के समान मुख है, इसको उपमान कहते हैं. Means you are comparing with similar object, or giving a analogy to understand what you really want to say. For example, when we in poem, a poet says the female face is like a moon. So when he is saying that, he just want to express that that is a beautiful face. Or when you see a very bright thing, then you say it is as bright as like a sun. So here, what, based on your previous experience, previous understanding, you are comparing two objects and trying to explain somebody that what you are really want to say. So this is another type of test, or the way of getting the knowledge of the objects. Fourth one is aptavachan or shabd. So this is the highest level of understanding or highest level of knowledge that goes not just within Prakriti but beyond it. So when Sadguru says something, or when the knowledge in Vedas, that knowledge is Shruta Gyan, or that knowledge is Aptavachan. Why? Because that knowledge is coming directly from the Supreme Soul. So it is pure and there is no contradiction, and that that information, that knowledge is true in all three cycles of Kal, like past, present, and future. It remains same. So when that kind of knowledge or those kind of statements are there, that is called Aptavachan. So that's why Sadhguru's statement, Sadhguru's Vani, Sadhguru's Amrit Vani is called Aptavachan, because when he speak a eternal truth basically. So that is called Shabda Praman. Now this fifth one is based on the cycle of the nature, which is called Srushtikram. So here in Bhashya, आचार्य श्री प्रथम से माता पिता द्वारा संतान होती है, इस क्रम को सृष्टि क्रम कहते हैं। प्रकृति के नियम व्यवस्था के अनुसार व्यवहार को सृष्टि क्रम कहते हैं। So we all know that the physical relationship between father and mother result into a child. So that is the law of nature. So when there is a certain sequences happen, then there is a particular result, which is the law of the nature. We call it as a law of the nature. So that is another test, that is another knowledge, that is another way of understanding how the things work. For example, if you bow a seed and you give sufficient water, fertilizer, and there is enough sunlight, then it is sure that the seed will grow. So that is a srishtikram, that we all understand, that it is one way of understanding the how the things work. So these are the five, we can say, the ways how you gain the knowledge of the Prakriti. I personally really like this Doha when I first time read. Some of those I was aware, but I did not look at those things from the perspective that Swamiji really explained here. So this is very useful for anybody to understand how we, gain the knowledge. Anybody has any question on that one? All right. So next Doha number 17. Here is where Swamiji explain six states or six bodies of soul. One is so the Doha is thul sukshma karan bana mahakaran ye से ए केवल हंस स्वरूप है यह षट जानो देह. So the soul always remain in one of these six bodies, basically six states, based on how much ignorance or how much it is tangled in Prakriti. So first one is gross, that is sthul. Then the next one is sukshma. Third one is karan, mahakaran, kaivalya, and hans. We have discussed these six states several times. I guess Vijayji has touched upon this several times. We can briefly go over those. For example, Doha number 20. Here Swamiji talks about the Kaivalya Deha. Brahmasmi Brahma Udaya में अहम भाव बन आए केवल देह सो जानिए पतन मूल भ्रम पाए. So when soul is in liberated state, when it is experiencing that supreme soul, when it is experiencing the ultimate pleasure, And when it is in, what we can say, become kind of a, it is as good as like it start feeling that it is the supreme soul, it is whatever is the or light or the happiness around or what it is experiencing is all because of itself. He is the reason for this happiness, he is the reason for this pleasure, he is the reason for this um, entire srishti. When that kind of ignorance or that kind of incorrect knowledge appears in the soul, that at that state it disconnect from the supreme soul. That state is called the kaivalya deha. So it no more remains in hans deha. The ultimate purity of this soul degrade and it um, fall into the state which is called kaivalya deha. And that's where it this is very commonly used statement aham brahmasmi. This is where the soul start thinking that it is brahma, it is the reason for everything, and that is the first of three knots that soul, you know, uh, get tangled with, and then slowly its degradation continues further. Next doha, Swamiji talks about the Mahakaran Deha. अर्ध ज्ञान संकल्प दृढ़ दृश्य भोग जड़ होए पतन महाकारण बना भय हंस सचिद सोए। अपने स्वरूप में स्थिति न रहे, अपना ज्ञान जब प्राकृतिक भोगों की प्राप्ति के लिए नीचे चला आता है और भोग संकल्प दृढ़ हो जाने से ज्ञान में ह्रास हो जाता है, तब आत्मा के आनंद रहित भ्रमयुक्त सतचित अवस्था को महाकारण देह कहते हैं। कैवल्य महाकारण दोनों अवस्थाएं आत्मा में होती है, केवल चेतन सत्ता की भ्रमयुक्त दोनों अवस्थाएं हैं। अब आगे आत्मा का संबंध प्रकृति से होता है जिसका वर्णन नीचे दोहे में किया गया है। सो वी शुड अंडरस्टैंड दैट हंस देह, महाकारण देह and kaivalya deha, these three are the conscious states of soul. So far soul is not got in touch with prakriti, so the three gunas of prakriti, sattva raja tama gunas, or three other properties like sukh dukh and dvesh, these three are not attached to soul until now. So kaivalya deha and mahakaran deha, these are the um, kind of a state where the soul still remain in conscious state, but yet its level of knowledge is degraded, it got more impurity in it. We all understand that the difference between the supreme soul and common soul or jivatma is that the knowledge in soul does not remain same, it goes up and down. So there is ras and vikas, it grows and it degrades, and that is the reason why soul reach to the salvation and do not remain in salvation forever, but eventually fall back to prakriti. So in case of mahakaran deha, what happens is its desire to get the physical pleasure start becoming stronger and stronger, and that's the reason the level of its knowledge, the pure knowledge, even start degrading, and the consciousness of soul start even going further down. But again, as I mentioned, this is still a state of consciousness, just that not the pure conscious state. It got impurity in that one. Next state, what is called karan deha, is where it actually get in contact with prakriti. So that is doha number 22. जड़ चेतन संयोग में माया जीव संबंध, यौगिक कारण देह है, जड़ फंदा जीव बंध। माया और जीव का संबंध जड़ चेतन का संयोग है, इसी को कारण देह कहते हैं। जड़ प्रकृति और चेतन आत्मा है, इन्हीं के संबंध से जीव प्रकृति के बंधन में पड़कर आवागमन संसार दुख को प्राप्त होता है। इसी को जड़ चेतन की ग्रंथि भी कहते हैं। इसी ग्रंथि के छूट जाने पर जीव अपने शुद्ध स्वरूप में आकर परमानंद प्राप्ति का प्रयत्न करता है। चेतन शुद्ध स्वरूप प्राप्त होने पर प्रभु की भक्ति और परमानंद की प्राप्ति होती है। So this is an extraordinary state where soul, when coming from upward, going south or going downward, this is the juncture where it get the properties from the Prakriti. This is where its entanglement in Prakriti begins. This is where it get attached with the Sattva, Raja and Tamogun of Prakriti. This is the state where its pure properties like efforts, knowledge and desire or the willingness, those not just those three properties, but they get along with other three properties from Prakriti, that is happiness, sorrow or agony, and the hatred. And therefore, this is a state where Swamiji says second knot of the entanglement come into picture, and that is called Jada Chetan ki Granthi, means the knot between the conscious entity and the gross entity. So it already have first knot, that is the lack of knowledge or the Agyan ki Granthi, and this is the second one, which is called the knot of the gross and conscious state. Once this happens, that's when the soul fall further down in Prakriti, in Srishti, and then the cycle of the karmas begins. So once it is in Karandeha, it further continues its desire to have the physical pleasures, physical happiness. Then it reach into a state where it has 19 elements get connected to it. So next doha number 23, that is what Swamiji explained. पंच प्राण दश इंद्रिया अंतकरण मीलाए, यह तो सूक्ष्म देह है उन इस तत्व समाय। पांच प्राण, 10 इंद्रिया और 4 अंतकरण, इन 19 तत्वों की सूक्ष्म देह होती है। तो so subtle body has these 19 elements connected to it. 5 pranas, 10 indriyas, out of which 5 are sensory organs and 5 are organs of action, and then 4 inner organs. Those collectively 19 elements make a subtle body or the Sukshma Deha. And when this Sukshma Deha get an opportunity to get into gross body, that's when the last state or last level of degradation happens, that is the stool body or the gross body. And Swamiji talks about that in the next doha number 24. Utapanna rajavirya se anajal vayu pal, shat vikar asthul mar, jara युवा तनवाल। रजवीर्य से उत्पन्न माता के गर्भ में 10 मास निर्मित देह, जिसकी अन्न जल वायु से रक्षा होती है और षट विकार को प्राप्त कर अंत में नष्ट हो जाती है, इसको स्थूल देह कहते हैं। So here षट vikar, so Swamiji is talking about a gross body that transition from one state to other state, there are 6 such states that our physical, if we look at the human body, our physical state goes through. One is birth, second is childhood, third is teenager or youth, fourth one is adult, fifth one is what we can call the old age, and the last one is death. So this stool body or the gross body transition through these 6 vikaras or these 6 states, uh, and that is called the gross body. Anyone has any question on all these 6 phases or stages of the soul?
No, G, I only remember Shakespeare's Seven Stages. That's the poem that I studied in 10th standard.
Okay, today you learn 6 new then.
Yes.
So that's where our journey begins. Our journey begins from the gross body till the 6th, that is Hans Deha. Now, why they call Hans Deha is one analogy to that one is the swan separate the milk from the water, and it's the same thing happen with the soul. Soul removes all its impurity from its knowledge and choose the true uh, happiness of the supreme soul. And probably that is the reason why they call it Hans Deha. So we can stop here if anybody don't have question. I don't want to bombard with a lot of information in just one session.
Jai Shri Gurudev. I have one question that is it like we have 6 deha? Is it something like we will, when we have mukti, then we'll be having mukti from, let's say, sthul deha, then again from in the sukshma deha we have to do some bhakti, and then we'll have a mukti over there also. So is it like there are 6 different muktis, or is it like only one mukti itself and we cross through everything?
Okay, very good question. And maybe Rajji, like you and other seniors can help me explaining. I will try my best. So when we are in gross body, as I talked about in the 4th Doha at the beginning, when we are in gross body, that's when the liberation or the mukti happens, the salvation happens. So through the Sahaj Samadhi, through the path of Vihangam Yoga, when we do meditation, our consciousness move from one level to other level. And when the stage comes where you reach to a level or the phase where you experience Supreme Soul and your consciousness now become a part of Supreme Soul in a way like Loha Agnivat, like fire, the relation between fire and the piece of iron in the fire. That happens when you are in a gross body. Now we need to understand that when we are in gross body, the 3 states of soul we all commonly experience. One is when we are in awake state, that is a state of stool body where we experience the outside world through our physical organs. When we are in dream, the soul experience the state of subtle body, sukshma deha. And when we are in deep sleep, that's when the soul experience the karan deha, because there the soul do not experience any physical outside world, but it is not the state of mukti, rather it is the state of complete ignorance, because that is the time when soul is come under the strong influence of tamoguna, the ignorance. Now when we are in physical body and mukti happens, that time we, I mean, the soul still remain in the physical body, and it equally experience the sthul, sukshma, and karan deha along with the hans deha. So there is one doha, I don't remember exactly right now, where Swamiji has, that is in first mandal, where Swamiji has explained that even though you are experiencing the supreme soul, even though the state of the soul reaches to the salvation, when as long as it is in human body, it still experience, or it still has those other three physical states, that is the gross body, the subtle body, and the karan deha. When it escape the human body, that's when it goes to the hans state, and it remain in the uh, 3/4 region, what is called Amrut Mahasagar or Teen Pad Amrut. I don't know if I answer your question, Raji.
Yeah, I got it.
Anyone has any other question or want to share their thoughts? All right, so we can conclude here with Shantipat. We will continue this same chapter probably next week, where we will discuss about those other 6 states of soul, that is Jagrit, Swapna, Sushupti, Turiya, Turiyatit, and Aptade. So we will talk about that in next session. I would request Isha ji to conclude with Shantipat.
Thank you, Yogesh. Shanti Pat. हे प्रभु शांति स्वरूप हो, शांति शांतिमय शांति, शांति शांति जन शांति हो, पूर्ण शांतिमय शांति। हे प्रभु शांति प्रदान कर, दूर हो सर्व अशांति, देव सदा फल शांतिमय शांति शांति सुख शांति। बोले सतगुरुदेव भगवान की जय।
Jai.
बैक टू योगेश जी।
Thank you, Isha ji, and I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. Jai Sadgurudev.